Not minding that Friends aired its last episode in 2004, the legacy left by the show has remained even to the present. The show manages to appeal to a new audience in every generation and has been a testament to its lasting legacy. While it was on, the cast of the show had formed a strong bond during the lengthy time that they spent together, which has also translated to real-life friendships. The bond between Matt LeBlanc and Matthew Perry seems to have been strongest, just as their on-screen characters. However, tragedy struck along the line when Perry passed in 2023, bringing an end to a long-lasting friendship. Speaking on this, LeBlanc has shared some very touching details about Perry, which has everyone in tears. If you want to learn more about this, join us as we shed light on the bond between this iconic duo. Matthew Perry was born on August 19, 1969, in Williamstown, Massachusetts, to Suzanne Marie Morrison, a Canadian journalist and former press secretary to Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, and John Bennett Perry, an American actor, who sadly divorced when he was still a baby. Matthew Perry is best known for his portrayal of Chandler Bing in the phenomenally successful television series Friends. His mother brought him up in Ottawa, Canada, while he would visit his father in Los Angeles, making for a somewhat unstable childhood. Young Matthew, however, found himself fascinated by comedy and tennis and ranked as one of the top junior tennis players in Canada. However, his prospects in tennis diminished with the move to Ottawa. Perry attended Rockcliffe Park Public School and later Ashbury College in Ottawa, where his comic tendency really took a better form. While tennis was an important feature in his life during his teen years, his interest in performing arts fully developed once he did acting and participated in plays in his school. At 15, Perry moved to Los Angeles to be with his father, and by then his ambition had shifted away from tennis and into acting. While attending the highly esteemed Buckley School in Sherman Oaks, Perry developed his comic timing and honed his craft, laying a very strong foundation for his career. The early days of Perry in Hollywood consisted of just minor roles on television. He got his big break when he won a part in the short-lived sitcom Second Chance in 1987, where he played a teen learning lessons about life. However, this wasn't the hit for Perry. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, he began guest starring in a few television shows like Growing Pains, Beverly Hills 90210, and Who's the Boss? These roles found Perry playing to his natural comedic talent and helped establish him as one of the most interesting young actors coming up. But all that changed in 1994 when Perry was cast as the sarcastically witted Chandler Bing on Friends, a role that would catapult him to popularity. At the time, Perry was working on a different pilot for a show called LAX 2194. But then he read the script for Friends and knew it had huge potential. Perry's portrayal of the sarcastic, quick-witted Chandler found great appeal with audiences, and his impeccable comic timing did much to seal Friends' status as one of the most popular sitcoms ever. As Friends became more popular, so did Perry and his fellow actors. The show aired for 10 continuous seasons from 1994 through 2004, and even to this day, it is one of the most watched television shows in the world. Perry's portrayal of Chandler made him the target of great reviews and put him inside the pages of television history. Outside of Friends, Perry extended his career to film and other television projects, but his days as Chandler Bing definitely left their mark on pop culture. On the set of Friends, he built solid relationships with other actors like Matt LeBlanc. Matt LeBlanc was born in Newton, Massachusetts on July 25, 1967, and is probably best known for his role as the sweet, dim-witted Joey Tribbiani on the show. He had a working-class upbringing with his mother, Patricia, as an office manager, and his father, Paul LeBlanc, a mechanic. LeBlanc is of mixed heritage. His father is of French-Canadian descent, while his mother is of Italian ancestry. This was to later influence his portrayal of Joey as an Italian-American in Friends. LeBlanc initially loved motorcycles and wanted to become a professional motorcycle racer. He was racing at a younger age until his mom, alarmed by the sport, asked him to change direction. He attended Newton North High School, where his interest in carpentry was awakened in him, and he even considered taking it up as a career. He graduated in 1985 with his classmate, who was also another future Hollywood star, Louis C.K. Later on, after high school, LeBlanc attended the Wentworth Institute of Technology in Boston but dropped out before completion. He moved to New York City at the age of 17 to model and act. He had almost no experience in either. His looks got him some modeling work, but LeBlanc knew relatively quickly that acting was his passion. He began a study at the renowned HB Studio in New York, where he started to hone his craft and develop his comic timing. The acting career of LeBlanc began with commercials. He drew some attention in 1987 when he appeared in a commercial for Heinz Ketchup and was able to find more work. With his boy-next-door type of charm and charisma, he was able to pick up several small television roles. He had guest appearances in several sitcoms, including TV 101, Just the 10 of Us, and Married with Children, where he had a recurring role as Vinnie Verducci, a character which would later birth the spin-off Top of the Heap, although the show didn't make it to the light of day. Despite these minor breakthroughs, LeBlanc failed to gain much momentum in the early 1990s. He continued securing various minor TV roles but never made a successful catch. But with his audition for the role of Joey Tribbiani in Friends in 1994, his luck changed. LeBlanc was by no means the first choice to play the part. However, his undeniable chemistry with the rest of the cast, especially with Matthew Perry, convinced the producers he was right for the part. LeBlanc's portrayal of Joey, the dim-witted but lovable would-be actor, made him an instant favorite. Joey's catchphrase, "How you doin'?" was legendary, and his character's mix of innocence, charm, and humor endeared him to audiences. Friends became a cultural phenomenon, and LeBlanc, along with his co-stars, achieved international fame. After Friends, LeBlanc starred in a spin-off, Joey, which followed his character after he had relocated to Los Angeles. While not as successful as Friends, LeBlanc continued to find work in television and later won critical acclaim for his turn in the series episodes. The early life of Matt LeBlanc is marked with pursuits of multiple careers, from racing to carpentry, but it was his natural comedic talent that finally led him into acting stardom. His portrayal of Joey Tribbiani is probably one of the most popular renditions in television history. With the success of Friends, Matthew Perry and Matt LeBlanc became some of the most iconic duos to ever hit television. The characters in the show shared a deep bond with one another in the show, lived as roommates for much of it, and offered some of the funniest and most heartfelt moments in the series. What the fans probably don't know is how much their on-screen chemistry mirrored a real friendship that transcended the show itself. The minute Friends started airing, Perry and LeBlanc seemed to click, and that translated into their performances of Chandler and Joey, respectively. The character dynamic lay with Chandler, who was both sarcastic and neurotic, while Joey was simple-minded and endearing, providing the perfect comedic weight. Put them together, and the two became one of the centers of the show where much humor would come from. Be it their love of reclining chairs, the ineptitude of Joey with basic logic, or an emotionally vulnerable Chandler struggling through life. It wasn't just humorous, it showed how much the characters loved each other genuinely. The friendship of Joey and Chandler grew into a very significant element throughout Friends, often representing deep unconditional bonding, which resonated with audiences. Off-screen, Perry and LeBlanc were as close. For each actor, being on Friends catapulted them into the limelight. Prior to the blockbuster sitcom, the actors weren't as well known. The actors were leaning on each other for support as young actors navigating newfound fame. This bond formed through this process ran deep and survived throughout the 10-season run of the show and well beyond. Even though their individual personalities were different, their combined personas mirrored that of their on-screen characters. Over the years, both actors have spoken nicely of their friendship. LeBlanc once referred to Perry as a guy you could always count on. And because their chemistry was instant, he felt that when working together, it didn't feel like work at all. In return, Perry complimented LeBlanc's generosity and nice nature, often reminiscing about how much fun they had on set. There are many inside jokes they have between them, and the fact that the two really liked each other didn't go unnoticed during public appearances or even during a cast reunion. The on-screen chemistry between Perry and LeBlanc was not only restricted to when the cameras rolled on. Quite often, or on many an occasion, they could be spotted together outside of work as well, attending events and enjoying each other's company. And even after Friends wrapped in 2004, their friendship remained intact. During the 2016 cast reunion for Friends, both actors were visibly emotional with memories from the show. Arguably, the most telling sign that they would be lifetime friends came with how supportive they were of one another whenever times were bad. During the Friends run, Perry struggled with addiction, and LeBlanc was one of those cast members who really came forward to support him through encouragement. Perry has been on record in interviews, crediting his Friends co-stars, among others, as having been there when he needed them most. The beloved actor Matthew Perry reveals in his memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, a long and painful fight with alcohol and drug addiction, one that overshadowed much of his career, even during the height of his fame on the show Friends. Perry explained that his addiction started in his early 20s, shortly after the Friends show premiered in 1994. He confessed at the time that he found the pressures of stardom unduly burdensome, stating that he turned to alcohol as a coping mechanism. The drinking soon escalated, and over time it morphed into an addiction to prescription drugs, including opioids. The comic brilliance was from Perry and his portrayal of Chandler Bing, but privately he felt the demons of addiction that were taking an increasingly terrible toll on his health. He had checked himself into rehab numerous times during the run of Friends, but mostly couldn't stay clean. One of Perry's closest supporters during the tough time in life was none other than one of his co-stars and friends, Matt LeBlanc. Indeed, Friends had an extremely close-knit cast, but LeBlanc really did have a special bond with his fellow actor both on screen and off. LeBlanc is laid back and encouraging, and he stood by Perry during the worst times. In the interviews, Perry mentioned that the cast, LeBlanc included, never judged him for what was going on but instead supported him through the hard times. LeBlanc is said to be one of the cast members who checked up on Perry frequently and urged him to get professional help whenever his addictions started spiraling out of control. Sobriety did not come easy or quick to Perry. He struggled with numerous relapses and near-death experiences, such as his ruptured colon in 2018 due to opioid abuse. He had to be hospitalized for a while. It was after that near-death experience that Perry began to be more conscious about his recovery. In his memoir, he goes into detail about finally making that conscious decision to stay clean once and for all, admitting that he needed to face up to the pain buried deep inside that had initiated his addiction. The decisive points that helped him were therapy, rehab, and friends and family. At the time Perry wrote his memoirs, he was already recovering and used his experiences to help others with addictions. Tragically, Matthew Perry was found dead on October 28, 2023, at age 54 in his Los Angeles home. He was said to be found unresponsive in his jacuzzi. Pending the initial cause of death, the news devastated fans and the Hollywood community alike. The death of Perry really signaled the end of a life full of immense talent, humor, and deep vulnerability that resonated with so many. He is remembered not only for his unforgettable role as Chandler Bing, but also for his openness about his struggles and his efforts to use his platform to help others battle addiction. LeBlanc was devastated by the news of Perry's death, a feeling that was shared among all the cast of Friends. After the tragic death of Matthew Perry in October 2023, Matt LeBlanc took to social media to show his huge pain and share his tribute to his friend and co-star. While Perry's death was tragic news for many, it really hit close to home for LeBlanc, as both he and Perry were bound by a decade-long friendship. The heartfelt message in LeBlanc's post reminded everyone of the bond the two had shared both on and off sets. LeBlanc had shared a string of shots from their time together on Friends, each oozing with laughter and camaraderie. maybe among the most touching images, there he sits in the recliners with his best friend, a nod to the unbreakable bond their characters shared on screen. One picture showed them backstage, grinning from ear to ear, looking just apparently comfortable with each other. These shots told the special friendship they had, not only with iconic performances they portrayed, but as real buddies that went through thick and thin together. Attached with the photos, LeBlanc wrote a moving note that truly reflected his pain and profundity of emotions towards Perry. In his tribute, he referred to Perry as family, which was a testament to their bond. He thought about the years they shared together and how much Perry lit up his life and the lives of those around him. LeBlanc's message was far more than a reflection on Perry's talent and humor, but rather his goodness and generosity. He also made it a point to highlight how Perry was present in hard times, made laughs by the dozen, and generally cared about people close to him. His words were a reflection of the warmth and support that he shared with Perry through their friendship. LeBlanc also acknowledged Perry's personal struggles that he had been open about in the last few years. He wrote about Perry's battle with addiction, indicating that he had put in the effort to come clean. His words mingled both grief and admiration in speaking to the strength Perry had in overcoming many personal challenges. From his tribute to Perry, it was obvious that he would miss the bond that they had built over the years and was helpless because there was nothing he could do to change things. The bonding between Joey and Chandler and friends really mimicked the real friendship between LeBlanc and Perry. This message that LeBlanc had for his buddy was full of love and really a pain to remember the close bonds they shared and how his loss will forever leave a hole in their hearts. Just like LeBlanc, the whole cast of Friends shared their heartfelt tribute with the world and indicated that they had really lost a close friend. It was just graceful to see the bond that they shared, bringing into reality the chemistry that they showed on screen. The cast included other well-known stars like Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, David Schwimmer, and of course Matt LeBlanc, all of whom forged through 10 years on the show together. They were more than just co-stars. They became lifetime friends, having shared each other's personal and professional milestones throughout their lives. When Perry died, it was as if a member of the family had been torn away, and among them, there was a deep sense of grief. Out of respect for Perry, they continued to share emotional posts on social media, remembering the laughter and light he brought into their lives. Jennifer Aniston called Perry one of the funniest, most sensitive souls she had ever known. Courtney Cox wrote of memories of his politeness and humor, concluding, "He made us all better." Lisa Kudrow expressed just how much the warmth of Perry had touched them all on set, indicating that they were all broken-hearted. In the days that followed, the cast had a private gathering among themselves to mourn their friend and be there for one another, as news of that nature is always so sad. The cast members joined a private memorial service, mainly comprising very close friends and family members, in which they remembered Perry's life and legacy. They shared stories of his humor, stories of his generosity, and the deep connection each had with him. The event was truly emotionally filled. Heavy-hearted, yet standing as one, the cast paid homage to the man whose presence had touched their lives on and off screen. Rest in peace, Perry, and we hope your legacy is remembered for a very long time. That's it for the video, and we will be seeing you in our next upload.